Well, remember this comment? It's looking pretty good now. After 2 rounds, I'll quote it for you later. I'll play the clip of Roger Federer saying that this was a good measuring stick for him, beating Cam Norrie, an in-form player, a guy who's been hot all year long, a guy who just did well on grass before coming to Wimbledon. It's a good measuring stick, and that comment looks really wise now. After 2 rounds, the Fed rocket, the Federer Express will start to take off. But there's a lot more going on at Wimbledon this year than Roger Federer. Yes, that is always the story at Wimbledon. Of course, this year we've got Djokovic going for the 3-way tie and looking pretty good, although he was a little flustered with Dennis Kudla in his last match. And we got a lot of good stuff on Djokovic today. But, in the intros, I'm always talking about the big 3. And today, I got to say, my bracket doesn't love it. I was pretty good through the first couple rounds. My third round, I've only got 5 guys out of the final 16 after third-round matches finish up. We are in the Sweet 16 at Wimbledon. 16 men remain. And I've only got 5 picks with a whopping 2, one of them being Roger Federer, in the bottom half. And I saw a comment saying, hey, Matt, you went really heavy on the seniors, on the veterans of the game. And Wimbledon is a great place to do that. But we all knew this year was going to be very difficult to pick, with a couple years going by with no Wimbledon, no grass being played on the Pro Tour whatsoever. So we knew that was going to be difficult. But still, I'm surprised how many of these young guys have come through. Guys like Seb Korda, guys like Shapovalov taking out Andy Murray, to the point where Andy Murray sounded so upset, he was basically saying, I don't even know if this is worth it, if this is what's going to happen to me at Wimbledon with all of the work I'm putting in just to get my body ready to play, because the guy's got a metal hip, right? But most impressive to me is, of course, well, it's not of course, this might surprise you, Medvedev. Medvedev, to me, looks like the true number 2 in the world. You might have said before, especially at the French Open, with that draw we saw with Djokovic and Nadal in the same half, you'd say Medvedev does not deserve to be number 2 here at the French Open. Nadal gets it. Medvedev is not the true number 2. You might have felt that way. I certainly felt that way to some degree, definitely on the clay. Today, Medvedev looks like the true number 2 in the world. And with that said, this is a guy who could beat Federer, could beat Sasha Zverev, and could beat Novak Djokovic, right here at Wimbledon. I think he has figured out the grass. Going to Mallorca was very key after the disappointing start in Halle. Medvedev wanted to do well at Wimbledon this year. Obviously wouldn't have went to Mallorca if he didn't want to try something to figure out how to play on grass. It worked. His win over Cilic today, because Cilic did all the things I expected. When we go through the stats, you'll kind of see a little bit of what happened. Cilic did so much good. Had the 2-sets-to-love lead, looking great, and then Medvedev, for the first time in his career, remember, first time in his career, he gets to the Australian Open final this year. He's been in the U.S. Open final before. Gets a win at the French Open and has a decent run there for a guy who had never won on clay before. And, of course, never wins in best-of-5 set, being down 2-sets-to-love. Does it against Marin Cilic. I don't have it here, actually, but put it on the screen. I was going to say today, this is why I picked Cilic. Look how much Cilic has played Wimbledon. That's the 3rd tournament down. It's from Wikipedia. That's a lot. What is that, like 40-something? I don't have the number here, but I looked at it earlier when I was preparing the show today and put that graphic aside for you to edit into the video. I think Cilic is 40-something matches at Wimbledon, and he's winning like 71% of them, something like that, if I remember correctly. Marin Cilic is very good at Wimbledon, and it wasn't that long ago, 2017, the last time Federer won, Marin Cilic was there in the final. He's got a uniquely good game for it. We all know how good the serve is, but the flat strokes are very deadly on grass and very, very comfortable there on the grass. So for Medvedev to turn that around and beat him down 2-sets-to-love, this is a major day for Danny Medvedev, and I would say he's the true number 2. Give him a shot to beat Novak Djokovic in this tournament, and give him a great shot to beat Roger Federer. But what Roger Federer has done is made a lot of us do a U-turn. Boris Becker was saying that during his Gasquet match. Remember in the first set, it was still a little close, and it felt like in that first set that Roger, he was missing a little. Second set, he truly takes off. The tiebreak is really when he took off in the second round against Gasquet. But in that first set, you start feeling like this is going to be Manarino all over again, and Gasquet is playing well enough to take us to 5 sets, maybe even beat Federer today if he really just falls apart and has a hard time. And then all of it comes together. He said in press later that that's what he needed. He hadn't felt like that since the comeback. All year, Federer hadn't felt free to play his game. And now today, he's saying that after Cam Norrie, it's one thing to beat Gasquet, but to beat a guy who's been winning all year and winning on grass as well, Roger Federer really knows everything he needs to know now. He knows that he can do it. Medvedev has shown everyone what he can do on clay, and especially here on grass. I always thought he would have a really good chance to be a great grass court player just because of the kind of ball he hits, that two-handed backhand. It's got to be one of the best shots on grass on any low-bouncing surface in the world from Danny Medvedev. All this is great, but Federer and Djokovic are still the guys to beat here at Wimbledon, and I might have been wrong on a lot of veterans. The cult pickle Kohlschreiber didn't come through for me. Cilic didn't come through for me. Andy Murray, grass court expert, wasn't able to come through drug cartel lord El Chapo, but you better believe I still have a lot of money down on Novak and Roger. Today on Coffee Break Tennis, we're fully loaded, but you might notice I'm decked out in my tennis gear. I'm about to go hit the courts and get a lot of nervous, anxious energy out. It's been a wild ride watching all this Wimbledon. It's been a lot of fun. We've got something amazing from Novak Djokovic. Every time I hear Djokovic say, "Oh, the crowd was great. It was a great crowd today. I really enjoyed myself. Jim Courier, nice to interview with you on court." Every time you hear that, I'm always thinking in the back of my head, like, come on, Djokovic, just tell us the truth. You hate the crowd a little bit because they were cheering for you to lose the whole match. They're a bunch of douchebags, right, Novak? Well, he finally said something to that effect. We'll take a look at that. Stats, baby. Got a lot of stats. We're into the second week of Wimbledon. For those of you who are new to this, there will be no play tomorrow as Middle Sunday. It is also the last time we will have this Wimbledon tradition. It's like 200 years old, but they got to get more matches and more tickets sold by adding an extra day of Wimbledon for the money. We can't blame them. Everybody needs some money. But we'll go through the stats since we're a week into this thing and we're on the Middle Sunday. We'll go through some stats and talk about some interesting things. For Roger Federer, there's one stat that he's not doing, that he normally would be doing. He always would be doing if he's going to win Wimbledon. It's not there this year. That's a bad thing. But there's some surprising stats where he's beating Novak Djokovic. So we'll take a look at that. And, of course, a bunch of other guys, young guys, those guys, losers. Also, what else do we have? We'll go through the draw. It's round of 16. I guess I could tell you that my third round picks before everything finished today, I'm over 50% correct. That's not so bad. But it was bad predicting the final 16. We'll look through the draw, maybe talk a little bit about that. Probably not. Roger Federer mentioned that his English is getting better, so we will finally do the language lesson and talk about why idioms are so different in German compared to English. I am your host, Matt Bradshaw, once described by a very wise commentator below as the perfect combination, the perfect mix of tennis expertise, confidence, and douchebag. I am him. Great analysis from the commentator down below. Leave a comment down below what you think of myself, the show, and the tennis happening at this year's Wimbledon. Let's get ready. Let's go all in. I'm so excited. This is what we live for. This is the most wonderful time of the year for tennis fans. It's Wimbledon. Where should we start? I don't know where to start. Let's start with what Roger Federer said. Why not? That's what I like. Roger Federer asked about his match today with Cam Norrie. This is how he rated himself. I think it's important that he pointed out the nerves got to him. It was mental when he served in the second set 5-6 to go to a tiebreaker and made it too easy, as he put it, for Cam Norrie to break him and take that set.
Look, the crowd really got into it. I thought I was extremely calm throughout the match, so maybe that's why I saved all the emotions for the very end of the match. It meant a lot to me because I thought actually I played a really good match throughout, except that maybe that one game where Norrie breaks me. Sure, he returned well, but it was a bit easy for him to get that break. But it was a difficult couple of minutes for me after missing the break points and then coming back and serving on the other side. But, credit to him for pushing me. I know he's had a really good season so far. He's played a ton of matches and a lot of tournaments, so it's a win for me, like a reference point as well. If I can beat somebody of his level, who's played well last week, who's playing at home, who's played a ton of matches, it's really, I know who I beat. You know what I mean? It's not just like a guy who can play good on the day. He's a good player, and that's why I was extremely happy that I found ways to fight back in that fourth set.
Did I say second set? I meant third set. When Roger was serving to get in the third set tiebreaker, he admitted it right there. He made it a little too easy for the guy. Sure, Norrie got some returns in, but more importantly, you heard him talk about how this is a measuring stick match. That's why after Gasquet, there was a Twitter that said Gasquet is a dove or a pigeon. He's the pigeon for these guys, for the big three. He's a big three pigeon. Richard Gasquet. Not nice. Very talented guy. But yeah, sure. You can make that case. Cam Norrie is a guy who's been hot this year. I know to some people out there, maybe you don't watch enough tennis to have any respect for Cam Norrie, but this is a guy, he's 25, 26 years old now. He's put a lot of work in recent years into developing his strokes and getting more out of his game. He's worked a lot on his serve. His serve is better. We talked about before about how he's got a backhand that's difficult to read. It's like Manarino. It's the shovel backhand. Barely take it back. It's kind of punchy, jabby looking shot, and it keeps the ball low, and it's extremely consistent. All these things are going to be very useful at the low bouncing courts of Wimbledon. So as Roger said, this is a guy who's not just having a good day like Kudla for Djokovic, although Kudla is a guy who he doesn't have a whole lot in common with Roger Federer, but one thing they both have in common is that Kudla really likes playing at Wimbledon. He's really comfortable going there. He knows that's where a lot of the best times of his season are going to happen, at Wimbledon. So I guess you could make that case. It's still a tough match. But as Roger said, this is not a guy who's just capable of having a good day. This is a guy who's had a lot of good days in very recent history. And of course, tennis is a what have you done for me lately sport. Let's roll the tape and listen to one more excellent thing from Roger Federer.
You said in your courtside interview afterwards that you felt you were a little bit lucky in the first round. Do you think you're getting stronger as the tournament goes on? Do you feel that you're getting maybe your rhythm a little bit better game match by match?
Yes, definitely. Look, I mean, lucky to some extent. I still would have backed myself if it would have gone 5 sets, but you don't want to be in a fifth set against Manarino in the first round at Wimbledon, under the roof with the fresh grass. So from that standpoint, there's always open questions, and I did get a bit lucky that he gets injured, and and the match ends right there basically. So I definitely feel like I've gotten my rhythm now at this point. Clearly I've gone from lefty to righty to lefty. There was a bit of a breeze on the court as well, so sometimes I was still mistiming a little bit my shots, but for the most part I was still trying to play on the front foot and play forward. And when you do that, like I did against Gasquet, you're always going to miss some. And important is that I accept those and move on. And I did that very well today. I thought I had a really excellent attitude from what I can tell. How I felt, and that has been something that has changed nicely throughout the last weeks and months, to be honest, because for maybe one of the first times I just felt very much at peace out there, really sort of a tranquility, I guess, to everything I was doing, where I wanted to serve, how I wanted to win my service games, and then how I took misses, how I took wrong choices. I just brushed them off, and I was like, we're moving on, things are going well. I know it's the big picture that matters, and I was sitting on the change of ends, and it was just empty thoughts, no bad, no positive, just sitting there and relaxing, and this is how I want it to be, and I think that for me is a very positive sign, to be honest.
That's huge for me, what Roger Federer just said, and that goes all the way back to Halle, when, remember, people were saying Federer's injured. It's been 2.5 hours since he lost to Felix Auger-Aliassime. He hasn't come to the press yet. Something's very horribly wrong with Roger. He's going to retire. He said something about, I don't want to make any silly decisions right now after being so emotional and so negative. And there he talked about how the mindset is finally where he wants it. And I was very curious, or fascinated, I should say, to hear him say, I wasn't too happy, I wasn't too down. You don't want to be up or down. You want to be right in the middle, just focusing on relaxing on those changeovers, taking a breath, and knowing we're following the game plan. When I miss, when I make a bad choice, that's okay. If I keep going after, I love how he said against Gasquet, it happened as well, he said, but when you're attacking, you're going into the court, taking the ball early and hitting the kind of shots that are, it's not like I'm playing to stay in a rally. I'm playing not to miss, not to lose. I'm playing to win. That's the way Roger Federer plays, especially in the last 4 or 5 years. So to hear him say that he's trusting the process again, he's hitting his spots on the first serve, that's what's such a big difference. When you don't hit your first serve spots at all against Felix Auger like he did after about halfway into that second set, I would say, in Halle, you can't do any of the other things. None of those opportunities are going to be there. It's a totally different match. So now that Federer trusts that serve, he trusts that first serve to go in and find the spot. Now he can trust the rest of the game to come together. That's why you hear him talking about how the mental game, he's just a sense of being at peace, a sense of serenity now, something like that. That's very good stuff to hear from Roger Federer. And when you do that, you have these opportunities to move forward. As he said, you're going to miss some when you play like that, so aggressive, but it's okay because overall it's going to be all right. Just stick to the plan, trust the process, something you hear so much from the big three. Anyways, let's look at these stats with Medvedev and Marin Cilic. You can see it happening here. Cilic serving well, taking the ball early and putting the pressure, pushing Medvedev back. So the problem with Medvedev and Zverev here at Wimbledon is it's not too hard if you have the weaponry to push them back and let them slip back there and feel real comfortable staying back there. That's why I'm so impressed with Medvedev today and saying he's the true number 2 because he was able to offset that whole thing. He disrupted what Cilic was doing so well. Just look at this one stat. Let's follow net points. In the first set, Marin Cilic, 13 for 15. When you play like this, when you play this Federer style, and Cilic can do that at Wimbledon. That's why he's very good at Wimbledon. He's very good at the Australian Open as well. Faster and lower bouncing courts in the last 5 years now at the Australian Open. Going back to I think 2016, it might have been pretty quick too, but definitely 2017. Anyway, so 13 for 15. Cilic is creating the opportunities to finish at the net. Another thing where I said in the draw show, Medvedev, he's going to be back so frequently that someone who actually knows how to take advantage of the net and how it works at Wimbledon is going to be able to really clean it up there. So first set, that's what happens. Then when we go to the second set, same thing. It's less, though. It cuts it almost in half, just about half. 6 out of 8 at the net from Cilic. What happens in that third set? Now, all of a sudden, it's a perfect 2 for 2, but Cilic isn't seeing so many easy opportunities that go up to the net and finish. And also, the whole game just happens to be falling apart all because of what Medvedev's doing. Medvedev's not allowing himself to be pushed around so much anymore. Do I have the fourth and fifth sets here? Yes, fourth set. Cilic making his way up there a little more, 4 out of 6. Medvedev 0. But the point was, Cilic not feeling the comfort level to go up there and do anything. And then do we have a match average? Looking. Got a nice picture of Medvedev roaring in there. Overall, 27 for 36. That's very nice. But, of course, most of that comes in the first 2 sets. So I think that one stat will tell you a lot about how Medvedev turned it around on Marin Cilic today. When you're taking the initiative, you're stepping in and you're really gripping and ripping. That's really huge everywhere around the world in tennis, but especially the faster, lower bouncing courts like Wimbledon. One more thing. Part of what happened for it's not just the bad service game at 5-6 from Federer in that third set he lost today. Because a friend of mine texted me and said, man, Federer's really struggling. Now, Federer played extremely well today. That third set is all about this. Take a look at this. Compared to sets 1 and 2, Cam Norrie was way more inside the court, attacking, taking the initiative, doing what Federer talked about doing. He did it very well. Also, look at this. Average ground stroke speeds went up considerably for Cam Norrie. So Cam Norrie really brought the game, just like we saw Denis Kudla. And what did these great champions do? Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer. They lifted their level, as so frequently you see from the big three. They lifted the level and put those guys in their place, even if they played some of the best tennis they're possibly capable of in front of a great crowd at center court. Didn't matter. That's what the big three do, and that's why you got to favor a Fed Djokovic final. That's why I put it in the draw. I was very nervous. I was talking about, maybe Federer's year is going to be next year because he just doesn't have enough matches. And then sometimes all it takes is Gasquet. Man, I'm starting to remember this. where else in the past, since I started Coffee Break Tennis, Gasquet was in the draw. Birdman was in 2017 at the Australian Open. Speaking of Birdman, what's his name? Everyone is really big on him. I haven't been so much. And they were saying on ESPN, Sebastian Korda, they were saying on ESPN, who's he remind you of? Birdman. I do believe I said that first here at Coffee Break Tennis. Hurkacz also kind of reminds me of the Birdman, Tomas Berdych a little bit. But yeah, Kudla, you can really see it with the ground strokes. Kudla looking a lot like the Birdman. Anyways, I had a point to make about it, but I don't remember. Let's move on. We don't have much time because I got to hit the courts. I got a big match tomorrow on Middle Sunday. Of course, I'll schedule it then, so I got to get some practice in tonight, working on my Fed forehand. Let's look at Novak Djokovic because I was kind of happy to hear this. I saw some comment not that long ago saying, you're saying people hate Djokovic and you're crazy. Yeah, I know there's a lot of fans of Djokovic around the world, but there's also a ton of haters, right? That's pretty obvious. Isn't that pretty obvious to all of us here? Chalk flew up. Everyone saw it. It's so obvious. Look, to be honest, says Novak Djokovic, it is not something that people do not see. He said this to the Serbian press, like Federer, in the native tongue, in the language where, a bunch of ding-dongs who only speak English won't be able to write about it in their newspapers or blogs or whatever the heck. He gave us some truth, some realness here. It is a fact, Novak Djokovic says. It is fact that I play 90% of my matches, if not even more than that, against the opponent, but against the stadium as well. This sounds like Del Potro. I'm going to stop. He says, I play 90% of my matches, if not even more than that. We're going towards 100, towards all of them, as I have said before. Not only against the opponent, but against the stadium as well. No, he's not talking about the physical structure of the stadium for those of you needlers out there and nitpickers out there. He's talking about the people in the stands. Places where I get more support than my opponent are rare, according to Novak Djokovic. But it's something I'm used to. On the other hand, I am a human being with emotions, so it is normal that sometimes it gets to me and it annoys me when someone provokes me. Yes, there were some obnoxious fans going up against Djokovic in the Dennis Kudla match. And, well, did I read it yet? Let me see. There were a few people. I do not want to get into the details. My reactions were explosive. Big bomb. Perhaps more explosive than they should be. Big bomb. But I had to get it out of my system and put them in their place. That tells you a lot about Djokovic's mindset. And honestly, I'm probably one of the rare recreational tennis league tennis players who has done that same thing. I'll never forget a friend of mine who just gave me a hard time about it for years. I was a lot younger, but we were playing an older gentleman and his grandson in a doubles match. I was not nearly as good of a player back then, but I was very fired up, more fired up. And I basically yelled at the guy's grandmother for cheering when I hit a double fault or made an unforced error. And I was very obnoxious about it myself. So I like that Novak Djokovic does this. I've yelled at many a spectator who has been cheering for me to double. Anytime you make unforced errors and there's people there cheering, and I know the matches I play, I don't have thousands of people there, but I've played matches where there's like 20 people watching before, but plenty of times, stuff like that. And anytime someone's cheering the unforced errors, it's really hard not to just tell them to just go straight to hell. So I like that Novak Djokovic does it. Let's continue with Nole. Look, in the heat of battle, these things happen. That sure is true. Sometimes it's a grandmother. It can happen. You release the emotions, the stress. She should have known. A grandmother has been on earth long enough to know not to cheer a double fault. She should have known better. I don't feel too bad about it. I feel a little bad about that. You release the emotions, the stress, the pressure that you feel on the court. Yeah, sometimes you're maybe looking for a little bit of support. Sometimes you just want to let it all go. That's what happened. I think a part of it is, and then later they asked him, why do you fight so hard? What is it in you? And I like this question. Why do you have to fight so hard to prove to everyone you're the best? Something like that was the question. And this was provoked because the guy asking the questions on center court at Wimbledon, he said, I was lucky enough to sit next to a couple people that knew your family when you were a child. And they said, you've always been like this. You've always been super competitive as a little kid and so hungry to prove to the world that you are the greatest, the best. So I really like that question. Good question from the interviewer. I think a part of it is genes, my family, the way I've grown up during difficult times, talking about the 90s in Serbia, the Yugoslav wars or whatever the hell they called it back then. Failure was never an option for me or anyone in my family, says Nole. We just needed to find the basic needs for us to survive during those times. It was difficult, and I think that strengthened my character. Part of it comes from my upbringing. This is where everyone's going to go crazy. I know. First, Kanye West had dragon energy, and now Novak Djokovic has wolf energy. Yeah, Shapo basically said it first, but he didn't say wolf energy. So Djokovic did take it to the next level. Part of it comes from my upbringing in the mountains. I spent lots of time in the mountains with wolves. So this is wolf energy right here. I'm not kidding, actually. Yeah, he was not kidding. I like to surf big bombs. I like to think about wolves as my kind of spiritual nature guide. Yeah. This is a real thing. How are we looking on time? Oh my God, Mr. Goat, get my tennis bag ready. We're running out of time. Can you believe I'm not going to do the language lesson again? This is brutal. You know what? Thanks to the patron saints, and you can join them if you dare at patreon.com/Coffee Break Tennis. Make sure that Coffee Break Tennis continues to be a thing. I am fueled by Crunch Time Coaching Peter Freeman, and of course, the patron saints. I need to make a song about the patron saints because they are beloved. God bless the patron saints. Anyways, because of them, I will do an audio-only podcast tomorrow, and I swear we will do the stupid idioms thing. But let's get through this because this is amazing. Djokovic says, I like to think about wolves as my kind of spiritual nature guide. I really do because of some wolves when I was a kid, kind of roaming in the forests and mountains where I grew up. That encounter left me frightened. And then at the same time, I connect with the wolves, and I feel the connection has carried on throughout my entire life. Kind of half joke on court, so to speak. There is connection, and I personally feel it. There is energy of wolves and mountains and everything that I grew up with. This is a real quote. Everything I grew up with and the circumstances that I was in when I was a kid, I carry that with me, and that helps me find that energy when I need it. That dynamic energy that sometimes it just turns into a roar or an outburst, but most of the times it is a useful energy. Novak, I'm with you, brother. I feel the wolf energy, whatever it takes. I mean, this is the truth. For any goal you set your sight on life, you need to believe some kind of thing, even if it sounds like nonsense to somebody else. Somebody is hearing that wolf stuff and is just rolling around laughing, saying that's absolutely ridiculous. But that's what it takes to be great at something. You got to find a way to believe, to think that you're a special person and there's reason. And of course, you got to couple that with extremely hard work. You can't just think, I'm a special person because, mate, I'm Nick Kyrgios. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to be enough. It's like, I'm a special person because I'm Nick Kyrgios, and you got to put all that time in the gym and be extremely dedicated. That's part of it too. But you got to have some way to believe. And God bless Novak Djokovic and his wolf energy. All right, put some stats on the screen. The ace count we'll take a peek at. Berrettini is on top. Yes, he is scary for the Federer fans. Some Fed fans have their fingers crossed that Ilya Ivashka, that guy, will take Berrettini out. Maybe. Zverev is right there with 52 aces. I think Nick Kyrgios also had 60. What a shame he doesn't take good enough care of his body to do what he should have done here, because he could have kept going. He could have beat Federer. He could have beat anyone if he put the work in. Sonego at 44 aces. Djokovic at 42. Federer not on this list, or he's on the bottom of this list, actually. Not a good sign, actually. You would want Federer above Djokovic typically in a year where he's going to win Wimbledon and beat the Joker. Christian Garin at 41 aces. A little surprised. To be honest with you, I haven't been watching Christian Garin almost at all. I saw a little bit of one of his first or second round matches. And Medvedev at 38. Medvedev, for his size, would like to be higher, but you know he's doing good. He's doing good here at Wimbledon. Kachanov at 36, Federer at 33. So Djokovic at 42, that says a lot. First serve win percentage, Djokovic on top at 87. That is, usually your Wimbledon champ is in the top three. Now I'll just go ahead and tell you, Federer is not on this list at all. Wimbledon, they list, the top like 30 or 20, but they list people who have already lost, right? Someone who had a 100% win on first serve, but had a 0% win on second serve and lost in the first round would be really high up on this list. So I only put people who are in it. So Federer wasn't high up enough to get ahead of everyone else left in the tournament. He is winning less than Sonego at 79% first serve win. A lot of that's from Manarino because his first serve was still kind of a disaster for a lot of that match. Like Federer said, he got a little lucky that Manarino got hurt. So I'm not as worried as I normally would be from this stat because we knew going into the tournament Federer's first serve was a mess. They couldn't hit his spots. And we also kind of knew as Federer fans that, of course, the guy's going to find it. He's got the best first serve of all time, maybe. He's right up there. Zverev and Hurkacz, 85 and 84. Berrettini right there at 83. Medvedev, 82, win on first serve. Ivashka, 81. Felix, 81. Sonego, 79. Federer can't be too low. I didn't do the math on his numbers. I didn't crunch it all to find out that he's at 78 or 77. That number will go up for Roger Federer. Says a lot, though, that Djokovic is on top with 87. Second serve, Djokovic is a little lower than you expect. Usually second serve, Djokovic is pretty high. Berrettini's the tops. Berrettini's at 83 on first, 67 win on second serve percentage, so watch out for Berrettini. Hurkacz at 67. Federer doing very well, as I've said, even during the Mannarino match. After that match, where, as a Federer fan, you can see from this statue of a human head to my right, modeling one of my well-worn Roger Federer hats. I am a big fan with my Roger that and Roger Federer screensaver back here, or a desktop picture, whatever. You can tell that I am a big fan, and I was very worried after that first match with Mannarino, but I did say Roger Federer was serving outstanding on the second serve, and here it is, 62%. When Federer is over 60% on second serve win percentage, he usually wins unless something horrible is happening with his first serve, which has now been fixed. Felix is right there at 61. Felix is really taking care of business on the serve. Wimbledon's a good place. The slice serve, Felix kind of only has a slice serve. You don't see him kick as much. He's more of a slicey server, or even his flat serve is always a little slicey. But he's placing it extremely well, and slice serves work very well at Wimbledon. So Felix is enjoying his serve here at Wimbledon. Kachanov at 60. Joker at 59. Look, that's a good number. 59 is a good number. I'm not going to say Joker's doomed, but normally we'd see him a little higher at the Wimbledons. Zverev 59, Korda at 58. Korda not on that first serve win percentage list or the ace list at all. What Korda does well is Birdman style forehands and backhands, the easy power, the very nice technique, and taking early. Look at this. Here's a graphic. Kudla, I think this was against Dirty Dan. He was stepping in and taking it early, a la Birdman style. The U.S. guys really think, or Darren Cahill's not really, he's an Aussie, but a lot of the ESPN commentary team, retired former great male tennis players or coaches, they all really like Korda and think he's going to be top 5 fairly soon. So, all right, we'll watch for that. Yeah, I like Korda, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have said he's going to be top 5. That's a bold prediction. I mean, he might be top 5 one day, but is he going to be there super soon? We'll see. Well, one thing he's doing well, let's look at this. They only track points. If you play all 5 setters, maybe you played more points, so this number will be inflated, but I think this is pretty fair. First serve, return points 1. Korda is on top at 97. Korda is also middle of the pack on second. Interesting here, Djokovic, greatest returner of all time, didn't make the list. And Roger Federer on the list, middle of the pack, 67 win on a first serve return. Federer is pretty good on first serve return at Wimbledon, usually because of that block return, how good it is that you can hit an excellent first serve, even if you're Berrettini with a big bomb or Sasha Zverev. Djokovic, who Federer will need it if we get that final, because Djokovic is serving outstanding, especially on the first serve. Federer very good at taking an excellent serve and then blocking it back, getting into the point, winning points he doesn't have any business to win. Oh my God, I have to go. Hit the music. We're going to get out of here. Going down that list, Felix is up pretty high. Christian Garin doing very well in return, both first and second. That's a big part of why he's doing so well. We'll see how he does against Djokovic. Sonego right under Federer on first serve win, and Zverev there as well. Medvedev doing pretty good. Kachanov. They're all in the pack. Djokovic not on that list, surprisingly. Rublev very high, too. Just a little higher than Felix and Fed and RBA, who are about tied. Second return, Medvedev is on top. You expect to see something like that. Djokovic near the bottom, tied with Federer. So, good sign for Fed fans that he's doing better on first serve return. He's played one more set, but still. And then he's doing the same, tied on second serve return. That's a really good stat for Fed fans out there, and I'm telling you that first serve is going to come up. All right, let's just go through the draw really quick, make some predictions. I was right about a lot, right? All right, I like Djokovic to beat Christian Garin. Djokovic said he was getting frustrated with his serve, not winning it the way he wanted to against Kudla. But Christian Garin, the guy has been, like we just said, winning a lot of points on first and second return. Yes, he hasn't faced anyone like the Joker, but watch that match. Curious to see what he does. Can Djokovic continue up the 87% win on first serve? Outstanding serving is going to be big. Fucsovics earlier this year, he's lost to Rublev like 3 or 4 times this year. He famously said, "I don't want to play you anymore," as he walked off the court, losing again to Rublev. Why would Rublev lose here? I don't think Fucsovics will beat him suddenly, so I'll take Rublev over Fucsovics. But give Fucsovics a chance. He's finding some love for the grass all of a sudden. Maybe he'll decide that he really likes it and he'll come out and do something special. Fucsovics has been on the rise the last few years, someone to watch. Kachanov, I didn't think he would get there. Korda, returning very, very well, hitting very, very clean. I think he'll be able to take out Kachanov. I do like Korda. I don't know if he's top 5 by the end of the year or next year, whatever they said on ESPN. Shapovalov should have beat Murray. I said he should beat Murray. I didn't think he was ready to do it. These young guys are stepping up. Really happy to see Shapo do it. He's got one of the most deadly serves, one of the most talented guys. McEnroe said if he played in this day and age, he would have played something like Shapo, except he would have come to net more often. Calls him a wild stallion, loves him. I think Shapo's a wild stallion. We all know he's a wild stallion. We've loved the guy for a long time, and of course he has lots of firepower because he is a cartel lord. Roberto Bautista Agut, he was my pick for the quarterfinals, but I'm liking Shapo. Of course, when you go up against RBA, that's a real challenge in itself. It's a unique challenge on the world tour of tennis, and of course his ball stays very low at Wimbledon, so that's a tough one. I want Shapo to come through. The guy's too talented. Berrettini, Ivashka. I'll give Ivashka some chance, but Berrettini wins in 4 is my guess. Sasha Zverev and Felix. The routine with Felix is when he comes up against someone who is his equal or greater, he tends to choke. He has some mental game issues, and those are harder to fix than technique things. Just look at Novak Djokovic. He rebuilt his serve, he rebuilt his forehand. He had to really work hard to develop his volleys, but he had the heart. He had the mental game all along. I think it's easier to fix the strokes than it is to fix, that tendency to be kind of choky out there. So I'll take Sasha Zverev. Sonego, yeah, he's tricky, but this is going to be his first time playing on center court Wimbledon. I think. Maybe he's played there before and I'm missing it, but I might have forgot. But playing Federer, this is his first time playing Federer on center court Wimbledon. Of course, we will go with RF to come through there. Medvedev, Hurkacz, could be tricky. Hurkacz does some things kind of like the Birdman. The Birdman was very good here, just like we're seeing with Seb Korda. But Medvedev, he's the true number 2, so I'll take him. All right, tomorrow, thanks to the patron saints, you can thank them. Go to patreon.com/coffeebreaktennis just to say thank you to them. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to join. We'll be back tomorrow to do the idioms and catch up on a couple more things. And then, of course, we will definitely be back on Monday, Manic Monday, the last one in history. I hope you're enjoying the tennis out there because we sure are here at Coffee Break Tennis. Roger that, and see ya!